It's the MCU and the DCEU's big franchise starters of 2018. It's Land Catman versus Seaman.
Seaman!
That's what I said. Seaman.
Stop it!
Aquaman has Patrick Wilson as Orm. He wants to rule all the oceans and has no problem with lying or even murder to reach his goal.
You expect me to address you as your highness?
Not your highness. Call me Ocean Master.
Wilson is a great actor and does a fine job here, but there simply isn't much to him. You could maybe argue that he feels insecure in his position because Arthur is the eldest sibling and therefore has the more legitimate claim to the throne.
If I defeat the firstborn son of Atlanta in a formal challenge in front of everyone, then all 7 kingdoms will have to concede that I am the one true king.
However, Arthur is also a bastard and has no interest in leadership until his half-brother forced him. There isn't much to Orm's motivation. Arthur sums it up best.
You know, there was a time when I wanted to meet you more than anything. Get to know my little brother. Let him know that he wasn't alone, that we were in it together. If only I had known what a dick he would turn out to be.
Michael B. Jordan plays Eric Stevens, aka Killmonger, in Black Panther. His father was killed by, and he was abandoned by King T'Chaka.
I found my daddy with panther claws in his chest. You ain't the son of a king, you a son of a murderer.
Grant, his father was doing some very seedy stuff.
So, your uncle betrayed us.
No.
He helped Claw steal the vibranium.
But Eric was just a child at the time, a child who in a moment lost everything. He was raised in poverty, undoubtedly bounced around the foster system, yet his father taught him about Wakanda. He knows there is a better world that is being kept from him for reasons he cannot fathom. He plans to use his heritage to kill T'Challa and rule Wakanda, and to end poverty for the black community and give them literal weapons to fight the systematic racism built into much of the world. Killmonger is an engaging villain. He is not wrong to fight racism. His flaw is in his methods. He kills without any mercy or concern for anything outside his goals.
I lived my entire life waiting for this moment. I trained, I lied, I killed just to get here. I killed in America, Afghanistan, Iraq. I took life from my own brothers and sisters right here on this continent. And all this death, just so I could kill you.
His plans will not end racism or discrimination, but rather shift the power balance. It doesn't hurt that Michael B. Jordan might be one of the most talented and versatile actors working today. Orm is fine and works in the narrative, but is a fairly standard villain for comic book movies. A villain who is basically evil for evil's sake. Killmonger has clear motives and goals. Easy point for Marvel.
Is this your game? Huh? Is this your game?
The movies have some extremely strong visuals. By far, Black Panther's strength lies in costume design, while Aquaman is just flooded with amazing effects, creating an entire underwater world right down to an octopus playing the drums. CGI is sadly where Black Panther fails the most. Sometimes it's fine, but most of the time the CGI is extremely lacking. It's sad when this shot looks just as good as it did 18 years ago, when even then it didn't look that good. Wakanda has a fantastic aesthetic to it. However, so does Atlantis. We do spend a lot more time in Wakanda, however. In the end, it's just Black Panther's CGI that lets it down here. Aquaman has its missteps, but is far more dependent on those effects, and the missteps are far less egregious. For Black Panther, it felt like they nailed almost every visual in the movie, but too much of the CGI just turns into bad video game cutscenes. It's just fortunate the movie doesn't depend on them to work. If Aquaman had CGI as bad as Black Panther, it would have failed entirely as a movie. This is a point for DC. Aquaman has a very unique theme. See if you can spot it.
My mother's bastard has never even been to Atlantis. His loyalty is to the sun.
The clue to Atlan's final resting place is inside of this.
It's not bad for an imbecile, huh?
Not bad at all.
And that penetrates my mind, and then the whole Big Bang explosion.
So clearly the theme of this movie is that an explosion will always happen behind you if you are having a quiet moment that lasts too long. How long has it been since you had an explosion happen behind you? Better look out.
Excuse me. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
Honestly, this just shows me that James Wan was having fun with this movie and really didn't care that he was using the same device to transition into an action scene over and over again. Twice is the most you can use a trick like that. Once towards the beginning and once towards the end.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Something like that doesn't really work with rhyming, it's more just a sign of laziness. But when someone with the scale of James Wan does such a trick over and over again, it treads heavily into I'm just having fun and don't really care territory. There is a more serious theme this movie goes for, and kind of hits, that is of mercy. It starts out really strong when Arthur abandons Jesse and his father to the ocean.
You can't leave them like that! Please!
You killed innocent people! You're asked to seek for mercy.
It's cold of Arthur to leave them as he does. He is ensuring that Jesse's father will die. But you also get it, because these guys are murderers. They don't deserve mercy. But of course, that's the point of mercy. If they deserved it, it won't be mercy, it's just saving someone. Jesse becomes Black Manta and vows revenge against Aquaman. He attacks Sicily in a new supersuit designed to kill Aquaman and does a huge amount of damage to the surrounding area. Arthur realizes that if he had shown mercy to Jesse and his father, they'd be in jail and unable to cause danger.
He and his father were pirates. And he blames me for his father's death.
You picked a dangerous line of trade. It's not your fault.
It's not how it feels.
However, instead of showing concern for all the people that could have been killed, he instead just focuses on the harm that could have come to Temuera, which hurts the theme a lot.
I could have saved him, but I didn't. And now I met an enemy. And he could have hurt you. And that would have been my fault.
The theme comes back in when Arthur decides to spare Orm's life, to leave the door open for him to one day talk to Arthur in Atlanta.
Finish it. Yield the throne. Mercy is not our way.
Maybe you haven't noticed, brother. But I'm not one of you.
It shows that Arthur has grown wiser since the beginning of the movie, that he understands that taking a life when you don't have to could lead to unforeseen consequences down the road. It's a solid and unique theme that this movie could have and should have hit a lot harder rather than just having a few moments of it. Aquaman also explores the idea of being unworthy. Arthur is a bastard with no interest in becoming king.
You think if I just show up, Orm's gonna give up the throne? I'm the bastard son of the queen your people executed. Trust me, I am no king.
I agree.
That's awesome.
Orm is obsessed with the idea of becoming Ocean Master and using that power to wage war against the land and presumably take over the world.
Defeat the Brine King, and you will command the greatest military might on this planet.
Today we unite our kingdoms. Tomorrow we scorch the surface!
In many ways, it seems like Orm feels like he's unworthy and has to prove himself. He ends up seeking power for the sake of power. Arthur does not feel worthy either. However, he does not seek power for the sake of power. He seeks power for the sake of peace.
But I did not come here because I thought I was worthy. I know I'm not. I came because I had no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I loved.
These movies actually have a surprising amount of similarities looking at plot points. A hidden culture where a son takes the throne after his father passes, and chooses to continue ruling as his father did before him. Then we have a long-lost family member come and take the throne with the idea that traditions must be changed for them to progress. The big difference is obvious. The villain and the hero are switched, and that makes the story all the more powerful. In many ways, the usurper is right in both these stories, and Aquaman is just obvious because he's the hero and Orm's the villain. Black Panther, it's very different. T'Challa is the hero, but he is also wrong about much of the world. He had the honor of growing up privileged. He never had to worry about racism or systematic discrimination. That's most of what Killmonger knows.
You know where I'm from. When black folks started revolutions, they never had the firepower or the resources to fight their oppressors. Where was Wakanda?
All the advances Wakanda has, they could change the world for the better, yet they refuse to because of tradition. Killmonger represents the world that could have been saved if Wakanda tried to help in just the simplest ways. Aquaman has some cool ideas, but doesn't really nail any of them particularly strongly. Black Panther has a lot of ideas as well and synergizes them brilliantly. This is an easy point for Marvel.
Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships, because they knew death was better than bondage.
Black Panther has Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia, Denai Guerrera as Okoye, Martin Freeman as Everett Ross, Daniel Kaluuya as W'Kabi, Letitia Wright as Shuri, Winston Duke as M'Baku, Sterling K. Brown as N'Jobu, Angela Bassett as Ramonda, Forrest Whitaker as Zuri, John Candy as T'Chaka, and Andy Serkis as Ulysses Klaue. Right off the bat, Angela Bassett is pretty much wasted in this movie. Her role is just to hang out and occasionally say a line. Shuri exists to be Black Panther's cute. Wright adds a lot of fun to the character, but she's essentially just the person with the cool gadgets.
If you're going to take on Klaue, you need the best the design group has to offer.
And then there's this.
Okay, let me guess. The floss is garrote wire. The toothpaste is plastic explosives.
No, actually. Well, since you've been frozen, there have been fabulous advances in the field of dentistry.
What do you mean?
T'Chaka exists to play off T'Challa and is effective there. Nakia is an excellent character, but is just there to help guide T'Challa down the right path.
Wakanda is strong enough to help others and protect ourselves at the same time.
Sterling K. Brown is strong in his limited role as Killmonger's father, while Andy Serkis is clearly having a blast playing the completely over-the-top Klaue.
I made it rain!
That leaves us with Okoye, Ross, W'Kabi, M'Baku, and Zuri. Shockingly, all these characters work within T'Challa's arc while also having arcs of their own. Okoye has to learn that sometimes to be truly loyal, you may have to rebel.
I am loyal to that throne, no matter who sits upon it. I loved my country too. Then you save your country.
No, I save my country.
Ross goes from thinking that Wakanda is an insignificant third world country to willing to lay down his life to protect it.
How long have I got?
Glass integrity is at 50%.
Put me back in.
W'Kabi starts as a strong ally to T'Challa, but sides with Killmonger in the final battle. M'Baku has the opposite arc of W'Kabi. He is the leader of the rebellious Jabari tribe who fights T'Challa for the throne at the beginning of the movie, and at the end is T'Challa's closest ally.
Witness the might of the Jabari! First time!
Zuri lived his life thinking the sins of T'Chaka could be forgotten, only to learn the hard way that such things are very hard to forget.
I am the cause of your father's death, not him. Take me. I'll take you both, Uncle James!
No!
Aquaman has Amber Heard as Forced Love Interest, Mera, Willem Dafoe as Volko, Nicole Kidman as Atlanta, Dolph Lundgren as King Nereus, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Black Manta, and Temuera Morrison as Tom Curry. All these characters are reasonably strong. Manta works best with the theme of mercy, while Mera is a solid enough supporting character, but their romance feels a bit forced, especially when they decide to make out in the middle of a battle. Was it not bad enough to have Lois and Superman make out over the rubble of Metropolis? Now they have to have characters make out while people are actively being killed? Dafoe always does a good job, but he is relegated to being an exposition machine here.
One of our archaeological teams uncovered this a few months ago. It's an ancient recording dating back to the First Dynasty.
Dolph Lundgren exists because we need a certain number of kingdoms and can easily be written out of the movie. There could be an interesting dynamic with him aligning with Orm and his daughter aligning with Arthur, but outside of some bad looks, nothing comes from it. Morrison and Kidman work well as Arthur's parents. Overall, the characters are fine in this category, but nothing outstanding. To put it simply, Aquaman has good supporting characters, Black Panther has great supporting characters. This is a point for Marvel.
Oh, that was awesome! That was awesome!
Black Panther has some real action highlights, the best bit being at the casino in Busan, which features a great, almost certainly fake one-shot. It still looks awesome and was certainly difficult to get exactly right, yet looks effortless here. Unfortunately, Black Panther also has the worst action scene in both these movies. The CGI mess that was the T'Challa versus Killmonger fight at the end was so disappointing. Just two invincible guys fighting each other, and sadly the tension doesn't escalate when the suits are being weakened because so much of it just looks so fake. It was a huge letdown. Aquaman, on the other hand, has the best action scene of both movies when Black Manta attacks Sicily. It has some very creative one-shots as well. James Wan really didn't do action well when he directed Furious 7, and this movie feels like him wanting to up his action game, and he did quite a bit. Black Panther has some strong action, but Aquaman's action is simply stronger. Point for DC. Both these scores are extremely solid. Rupert Gregson Wagner is back at the DCEU after his solid work with Wonder Woman. Black Panther has the considerable talent of Ludwig Göransson. Both are incredibly talented composers. I typically prefer Gregson Wagner's work, but Göransson didn't pull any punches with Black Panther. It's a score with its own unique character. These are really tough to judge against each other. If only there was a song in one of these movies that really stuck out.
I've been overlooked, slept on, stepped on, left for dead, always against all odds like Pac said.
That was a weird audio glitch. Anyways, the movies also have some fantastic songs. Black Panther has the Academy Award nominated All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar and SZA, and it is a fantastic song to end the movie on.
I'm the living great Gatsby, but these boys will watch you quick and disappear like Banksy.
Audio glitch again. Aquaman has the Charlie Clouser remix of Depeche Mode's It's No Good.
I'm gonna take my time. I have all the time in the world.
It's a great song, and it's super frustrating that this remix isn't commercially available at all. I think I have to give an edge to Black Panther for music. However, the sound design for Aquaman shows a bit more creativity. Black Panther has some great sounds, mainly for Shuri's inventions. However, Aquaman has an underwater sound design that consistently works.
Are you invoking the combat of the kings?
Call it whatever you want. I call it an ass whooping.
Aquaman proves to be a bit better as far as sound design. What one of these movies need is a truly standout moment with its sounds.
Gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
And there it is. Perhaps the worst song in all the movies I've done in At the Movies is Ocean to Ocean, Pitbull's cringy cover of Toto's Africa. Could they not use the original, or that Weezer Weird Al cover at least? Ocean to Ocean is an incredibly stupid song. Perhaps the only thing stupider would be saying something like white supremacists could be good people.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
It's a staggeringly bad song that would be downright irresponsible for me to ignore. Aquaman had an uphill battle against the sounds of Black Panther, and while it does have highlights, it also has its faults. This is an easy point for Marvel.
Well, that is quite the entourage. You got a mixtape coming out?
Oh, yeah. Actually, there is one. Yeah, I'll send you the SoundCloud link if you like. Hey, Dave, can you get the link to
Please,
the tape?
don't make me listen to your music.
Black Panther, played by Chadwick Boseman, explores the idea of becoming a king and in many ways becoming your own person. T'Challa lives in the shadow of his wealthy father and inherits everything his father has when he dies. He sees his father as a good king and noble man and wishes to continue his legacy. His father was not a perfect person, however, and made mistakes. The biggest mistake he made was with Eric Stevens. Killing his brother to protect Zuri is understandable. Abandoning his nephew because he's considered an outsider may be tradition, but was also cold-blooded. T'Chaka's adherence to tradition over morality proved to be a devastating blow to Wakanda. T'Challa represents the wealthy man that knows other people are suffering and yet chooses to do nothing because it's not his problem. Killmonger makes it his problem. Eric grew up without a parent, only knowing of this fantastic world where his family is from, where people have everything. A world that left him alone and abandoned him. A child left by himself to fend for himself. He learned of murder and mayhem and became extraordinarily skilled in their ways.
Check these out. Each one is for a kill.
It was Wakandan tradition that abandoned him and everyone else around him who suffered through the systematic racism. When Killmonger comes, T'Challa is forced to make a choice. Either ignore the problems of the world because they are not his, or use his resources to make the world a better place. Killmonger is a good villain for many reasons. He is in many ways the opposite of T'Challa. He is anti-tradition, but also anti-peace. He thinks struggle will make the world a stronger place. That the best way to fight racism is to flip the tables and turn the discriminators into the discriminated.
I know how colonizers think, so we're gonna use their own strategy against them. We're gonna send vibranium weapons out to our war dogs. They'll arm oppressed people all over the world, so they can finally rise up and kill those in power, and their children.
Eric isn't all bad and T'Challa isn't all good. T'Challa must learn that traditions are not the way to the future, that his father, no matter how noble he may have been, was not perfect, and that he cannot hope to be a good ruler by following in his footsteps. But the other side of that is Killmonger, who seeks murder and destruction. That is not good either. T'Challa must find his own way between these two very different paths. T'Challa must learn from Killmonger. Killmonger and T'Challa are reflections of each other. Both live very much in their father's shadow. However, the biggest reason why one of them is the hero is because one of them breaks free from that shadow. Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa, follows a much more traditional hero's journey. He consistently refuses the call to action until his father is almost killed, and he realizes sitting by and ignoring his birthright is not an option. Performance-wise, both actors do a fine job. Boseman plays T'Challa as a more stoic and thoughtful person, while Momoa plays Arthur Curry as more carefree and fun-seeking. Momoa has come a long way since his wooden acting days of Stargate Atlantis.
Can't go home. Can't stay in one place for too long.
Both are great, but one clearly goes to a lot more than the other. This is a point for Marvel.
Now more than ever, the illusions of division threaten our very existence. More connects us than separates us. But in times of crisis, the wise build bridges, while the foolish build barriers.
I enjoyed Aquaman enough when I first watched it to recommend it. On second viewing, I found I enjoyed it even more, but it is clearly just meant to be a fun movie with not much thought put into this story. That's not a bad thing. If movies that are fun for the sake of fun didn't work, then comic book movies wouldn't be a thing. Part of the reason I didn't want to do Black Panther vs. Aquaman is because I wanted to cut DC a break and give Aquaman a possible win. Thor felt like a more fair comparison, and I probably will still do that later. Aquaman is a solid step in the right direction for the DCEU and should not be dismissed. But let's face it, Black Panther has much higher aspirations and lands many of them amazingly. It's fine if this movie didn't fit your taste, but to say some continuity errors...
Fully automated, like the old American movie Baba used to watch. And I made them completely sound absorbent.
Interesting.
And some weak CGI make this a poorly made movie would be missing the outright strengths this movie has. Aquaman is a good, really fun comic book movie. Black Panther is one of the best comic book movies. And for some reason, I feel like I should say Patrick Swayze as Dalton. Hey, if you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And if you really love this video, consider visiting my Patreon page.